What is going on, guys? Ben back again for another reaction. So right now we're going to be checking out the cast of the Batman on Matt Reeves' vision for the Caped Crusader. It's a behind-the-scenes kind of interview between Matt Reeves, Zoe Kravitz, and Robert Pattinson. They're going to be going into a little bit of deep dive and kind of like seeing where the film stands and like what basically the whole premise kind of is. So we're going to see, you know, a little bit more of an exclusive discussion on what to expect. So I'm excited that we got, you know, the two mains and the director and the visionary, Matt Reeves himself. This is a Fandango All Access behind the movie exclusive interview. So without further ado, let's get right into it because it is 27 minutes. So it's a legitimate interview. So let's go. Colin Farrell looks great. Let's make sure that everything's up to par. It is. It makes me wonder if we're going to be seeing some new footage during this interview.
I'd like to start off asking
Colin Farrell too, and Paul Dano.
People on dates instead of asking people for their zodiac sign, because I feel like that can be really cringy. And I love asking these questions because I feel like you can learn a lot about a person based off their answer, and that is, who is your Batman? The guy's been around like 80 years. I feel like we all have a Batman that's defined a part of our lives. So briefly tell us who your Batman is, and Rob, I'd love to start with you because I'm jealous of the kids coming up now that get to experience you as their first Batman.
You actually asked that on dates?
I do. Who's your Batman? I need to know.
Really unusual.
That's a legit question. I need to know if it's Clooney. I need to know if it's.
Oh, right. I thought you meant like in my life.
I was thinking Maradona. I was going to go with Maradona. I was trying to figure out how I was going to make any sense.
I mean, I weirdly got to try on every single Batman outfit for my screen test to see actually which Batman I was.
Not Adam West.
Apart from Adam West.
Yeah, I was just making sure. That's a great visual.
That's a great laugh.
And my head was the only person who had a large enough head for me to fit into the cowl. It was Clooney, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Everyone else, I did not realize that everyone else has quite small heads. And, but I didn't fit into the. So it's not really what you're asking.
No, this is fascinating.
But I got into so because you could judge it. The most important thing was the cowl. I could only fit into Clooney's cowl, but then his suit I could not fit into, and so I kind of had like a very vulnerable midsection, kind of groin area.
You're saying Clooney was tight in the groin?
No, it's just I think he's a little bit
big in the head, tight in the groin.
I thought Clooney was really tall. Like, I mean,
that's what I would think, like 6'1" or something.
Yeah, and
Clooney hates you right now. And that's the suit that has the nipples on it, right?
It does. Yeah. I swear, a couple of them had nipples. I think one of them has like one nipple. But like,
one nipple
pierced.
Paul, Batman.
This is my Batman.
Yeah, awesome.
No, you know, I remember being a kid and seeing the Tim Burton film, and when Bruce Wayne's parents get killed, like, it was awful to watch as a kid. It's like, I think it's every kid's fear, right? It's like losing their parents. So I love that film. So I guess Michael Keaton was my first Batman.
What about you, Jeff?
Oh, it's Adam West.
Oh,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. See, your question, I think, just dates your date. You're just going after the age. Because I mean, I was, you know, like what, 7, 8 years old, and it was after school. It was
It's
Batman.
so interesting hearing all these answers from these guys that are part of it. You
little
know,
Gilligan's Island thrown in.
Story.
But the Batman was Adam West, and I mean that was just. Matt and I talked about it a bit because, you know, we look at it now and it's kind of camp and it's, you know, the pastels and all of that. But when you're a kid, I mean, that was serious. It was serious business. It was serious, like, you know, heroism and it was cool. It was modern.
Yeah, I remember because it was replayed on English TV. Like, I used to watch it all the time, and I never thought. I mean, I didn't really know what the difference was, but I mean, I thought it was a really serious show.
Yeah, and the performances are just. I mean, Cesar Romero and Eartha Kitt and Burgess Meredith and all. I mean, just like, I mean, it was just brilliant stuff for a kid. So yeah, that was. I used to make a little bat cave on the sofa and like kind of, you know, do my whole thing, and I was well into it. Wow. But Adam West. 100%.
Absolutely. And like you said, it absolutely dates the question.
Zoe, who's yours?
Rob's my Batman.
Gotta
My
be.
Batman.
Yeah.
Will you be my Batman? Sounds like Valentine's. Yes, say yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah, thanks. And Colin, who was yours?
Two, Jeffries, Adam West, and also Paul was saying Tim Burton. So I'll double dip. Yeah, when I was a child, pre-10, used to come home from school and watch Adam West in his version, and then, which wasn't camp at all. Of course it wasn't. It was life or death, and it was intriguing. And I mean, they circle each other every episode. The Riddler, Penguin, Joker, and Catwoman, and they just. I watched it recently with my son, and it's extraordinary how often they all bump into each other in broad daylight. And so looking back in that way, it's kind of ridiculous, but it was wonderful at the time, and it's still really enjoyable. But then Tim Burton, you know, when I was beginning to feel, I suppose, the recognition of certain anxieties and discomforts as a young man, like 13 or 14 or 15, then I related to the world that Tim Burton, Michael Keaton's Batman, and his,
Hell yeah, man.
his kind of beautiful kind of
I
awkwardness.
just rewatched those films
which,
actually.
even though he was awkward,
and they're a lot
of
more,
course he had
you
a
know,
confidence.
as
So
you know,
it was
I became
kind
an
of almost
adult.
like, wow, you can be
I took it a
awkward
lot
in
more
yourself
seriously,
and rub up against the world.
it was a nice
with awkwardness, and yet you can have
a
an
nice
inner
way
strength.
to
That's
dive
an
into
interesting
something that you can
concept to
appreciate
hold
now.
as a young man or a boy becoming a
Yeah,
man.
it's so beautifully said, and he means so much to us in like so many different ways, which is what I love. I think you were right about.
I'm loving
dating,
all the
too,
Batman
'cause
coverage
mine
too right
was
now.
Kevin Conroy, Batman the
Yep.
animated
Oh,
series.
it's
So I'm a
so
90s
nice.
kid,
Kevin
and
Conroy,
that's
absolutely.
the action figure I had.
The Batman.
And Rob, I was actually watching an
He
interview
is
you
the
did
knight.
years ago where you said that you
He
were
is
looking at a
vengeance.
Batman
He
action
is
figure
Batman.
and you couldn't wrap your head around the fact that you were Batman. So I wanted to know, when was the first moment you truly felt like Batman? Was it when you
So
put on
Matt
the
Reeves
suit,
isn't here
you got
right
in
now?
the car,
Maybe
first
later
fight
in the interview?
scene?
I mean, there's two different versions. There's one version where you kind of feel like Batman, and then there's another kind of realization where you realize you actually are playing him. And I think, like, even when I look at the poster in the back room here, I still can't really understand that it's even happening. Like, but there's definitely
Oh, his
definitely
Batmobile's
moments
in the
where you're
background.
kind of, you put on the suit. Actually, to be honest, it was on the camera test, and when we did,
I didn't realize it was
the
the
first time I
Batcave.
had the full suit on, and people start kind of behaving differently around you. It has such a kind of totemic power, and like the crew looked a little bit scared. I mean, there's something. It's really weird. If you don't say anything, you're just standing there. You're just kind of. People get freaked out by it.
I'm really
So,
excited about
probably on
this
the-
right now.
On the camera test though.
Yeah, people are stoked on this suit, man. The way it
Wayne's
catches
Terminus, so
light,
it's
the way
in
it
the old train
accentuates,
station,
like
I'm
your
assuming.
enviable jawline, and it feels like it has a lot of movability, which I think will lend itself to some really cool fights. I wanted to ask you about Bruce Wayne because Darwin Cook has a Batman comic called Batman Ego, which to me is just fascinating because he separates Batman and Bruce Wayne, and they have a conversation with each other about what it is they actually do, which I think is so interesting because it's in the same way where we all struggle with our own.
love how they're
egos
sitting
a
on
daily
all of, like,
basis.
the,
So, Rob,
the
did you
containers.
approach Bruce Wayne and Batman as two separate people?
Kind of. I mean, I love that comic, and there are quite a few of them when Bruce is kind of having a bit of an existential crisis, and even the way he becomes Batman. I mean, literally a bat smashes through the window, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a bat," and like, I mean, it's not really a normal kind
Oh,
of guy.
man.
And I got
That's
really
funny.
obsessed with thinking that
It's true.
there's an element of like mysticism in it as well, and kind of how much power he kind of imbues into the suit. I mean, he really thinks when he puts on the suit, he's no longer Bruce.
He is
It's not because
the knight.
in other tellings of the story,
He's
they kind
vengeance.
of really successfully kind of rationalize why he's wearing the suit, and it's to scare superstitious criminals and stuff. And I think in this one, what I got from Ego and from quite a few other comics is he believes it. When he believes it, he puts on the suit, he disappears. And I thought it was interesting to kind of think that Bruce feels.
I'm gonna pause it right here real quick. That's actually a really valid point to bring up. I'm really excited with this rendition of Batman. We're gonna be diving into the mind of the Batman and to see how much wear and tear and damage is done for his mental psyche. And like I said like I've stated in previous coverage for the Batman that I've been doing, apparently this Bruce Wayne is going to have a lot of mental illness issues, and we're going to be diving into that as well and how that coincides with him becoming Batman or whatever Batman is right now. And I know that he's a little bit more along the lines of a vigilante. The cops are kind of seeing him as a criminal currently. So I'm really, really stoked about this. I'm really stoked that we're going into the more detective work of Batman. Really, really intrigued. Matt Reeves has slayed it so far from what we've seen and heard alone without even really seeing much of the film. So let's continue it.
As himself, impotent to help anybody and avenge his parents. He needs to completely embrace his alter ego. And so in our telling of the story, like Bruce hasn't really got control of his persona as Bruce yet. Like he's just...
So he's fighting with the man
He's a recluse.
outside of the mask.
He's not the kind of playboy that we've seen in other tellings of the story. Like he's a freak. I mean, I don't have... He's not necessarily a freak. He just doesn't really go out that much.
He's also dressing up as a
He's dressing with a bat, but he wants to be Batman the whole time, which is kind of a lot of the comics are about that, where it's kind of he thinks that Batman is his true self, but in this it kind of alludes to it a lot more than usual. I mean, he doesn't want to do.
I'm digging that.
Else. And,
I'm digging that it's the commitment and the
interesting.
almost more
Struggling and
like
hasn't quite
he's going
made
for the
sense
vengeance
in
side
the
of
way
it.
that a lot of other tellings, there's like almost too much clarity in like why
Yeah.
I'm doing what I do, and I get from you and from the film that you think you maybe know why you're doing what you're doing, but actually you're too much in the
to be
thick of
revealed.
that struggle
Yeah.
that it will be revealed.
It's almost like, I mean, I could talk about all
digging
day
that.
whether or not Bruce
Digging
Wayne
Paul's
is the
shoes.
actual mask
Really digging those
here.
boots.
But someone who understands
Collins, obviously.
Batman, I think, very intimately is Catwoman, played by you,
Oh,
Zoe.
shit, excuse me.
And this is an origin story for Selena, which I think is very exciting for all of us as fans. Who does Selena Kyle want to be? And like, what is it that she understands about Batman?
What does she want to be? I mean, in this story, I don't really know if that's what she's thinking about. You know, I think she really wants to be free from her past, I think, in this story. You know, I think she's trying to
Interesting.
liberate herself from a lot of trauma and a lot of pain. And, you know, the Catwoman that we know and love, who's really able to relish and enjoy the chaos, she's not quite there yet, you know. So
shit.
it's a really
It's
interesting
everybody's
place
like
to-
origin
to
story in
meet
this
her.
apparently.
And, I think she really is struck by the connection she has with Batman, because I think both of them are people who never feel seen or connect to anybody, and I think it's a little scary to meet someone who affects you the way that we affect each other.
Yeah, there's definitely a vibe there.
There's definitely a vibe there. Or I could have just said that.
Yeah.
I have a thing for strays. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a last minute ad
Oh,
too.
it was fantastic.
shit.
It's so beautiful. Really, it's very romantic and heartfelt. You know.
I think you also see like a young
I'm glad
woman,
that was
like,
an ad
fighting
lib.
for her
Nice.
life in
Exactly.
a
And that's why I love these interviews.
you know,
Yeah.
and-
You learn so
and I think
much.
that's good.
Yeah,
It
it's
like it.
I
like
think
seeing that.
refreshing to not romanticize the character too much, where she's again, you know, just having a great
I'm
time
really,
being
really
mischievous. I
enjoying
think
this.
she really is a woman trying to survive, and that's something, you know, we don't see a lot in these films.
Yeah, Paul, I love that you brought that up too, because Zoe, I was reading an interview you did where you said Batman's like the masculine and Catwoman is like the feminine. And I don't want to speak for all women, but personally, sometimes I feel like we have to lead with our masculine so much, especially in the workplace. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did you get in touch with your feminine for this role? Because it's a very vulnerable place to be.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, I think it's interesting, like the idea of being in your power, right? And I think a lot of us associate power with masculinity, and so oftentimes, as a woman, when you want to feel powerful, I think we can imitate masculine power. And so I really wanted to allow myself to be soft and to take my time and to trust that she's a badass without having to lead with any kind of bravado.
Yeah. Oh, love it. I can't wait to see your Catwoman. Really, I can't wait to see all your characters because they're all unlike any of the versions we've seen in the previous live actions, especially Jim Gordon Jeffrey. I think what makes me so stoked about this film is it's a detective story, and I feel like
I'm
we've
really
just
stoked
all
about
been
that
craving
aspect of
that
it.
from Batman, and it feels like Gordon and Batman are like
It's a lot
partners
more
in
of this.
one.
I'm excited.
What excited you about bringing this version of Jim Gordon to life, and how did that detective story and angle influence your portrayal of him?
Well, you know, it's very much a throwback in that way. The film. It's a throwback to. It's not an origin story of Batman, but in some ways, it's kind of an origin story of the series, in that it begins in Detective Comics. It's about mysteries and crime solving. And he's
I'm
the
so
world's
stoked
greatest
about that.
detective. And so we really focus on that, and it gives Gordon an opportunity to really be in the middle of things. And you know, he's still Lieutenant Gordon, not Commissioner, so he's on the street. And so much of what I do is informed by what Rob does. So we're, it's all. People ask, how is this different than it? It's different because we're working with Rob. We're all working together and working within Matt's vision and James Chinlin's vision of Gotham and Greg Fraser's
loving
lighting and all. That's
that
what's
this is so
different
dark
about what
and
I've
gritty, and we're
with
getting
this.
almost like a
Because,
Batman noir story.
I've said before, but Gary Oldman is one of the most influential actors that's out there for me personally.
Wow.
When I saw Sid and Nancy, it just blew my head open to the possibility of what we were able to do in terms of freedom and intensity, and just opened my head open. My head
This
up.
is absolutely
So,
fantastic to
I
learn
have
about all of this.
massive respect for the actors who
And where they got the inspiration, and what they had in mind as they were doing the
I get
movie.
to work with these folks,
Yeah.
So
Let's talk about these folks and who makes up the Gotham criminal underworld. Paul, this is the first time Riddler is at the center of a Batman live-action movie in over 25 years.
Wow.
I'm sure fans are wondering, how good is he at Wordle? But I want to know, what drew you to the Riddler? Like, what did you read and see in the script where you're like, I want to play this guy?
Well, I was totally surprised and blown away by the script. And this day and age, you have to ask why are we going to reinterpret, the Batman, right? And right from the get-go of Matt's script, he had a really clear point of view.
I wonder if this is like
what he
some
was
of these
bringing
shots
to
that we've
this
seen are in
film.
like the beginning of the
You
movie.
could see the film as you read it. And something that I was really moved by was
I'm so stoked for March.
that he was exploring the two sides of trauma, maybe. And the Batman is born of trauma, right? Bruce Wayne losing his parents, and some people are able to take that and use it as fuel. And sometimes that fuel can lead towards something potentially good. And I think sometimes people take that fuel and it takes them. I guess I was really interested also in The Mask and the idea that a vigilante in our world, we can see we often can see what we want to see. And even though to a lot of people the Batman stands for good, I can tell you that I as my character, saw him representing exactly what I wanted to, as a great source of inspiration and
This is
power.
nuts, dude.
And so there was some awesome gray in the morality of Gotham and in the idea of good and bad. Just felt super complex.
And he's definitely
and
got like this
thrilling and
jigsaw
deep
complex
and,
to him in this one too, and it's very serial killer.
And I
I'm
was
loving
I'm
that.
still so excited about it.
Well, we're so excited to see it. But speaking of inspiration, Colin, let's talk about Penguin, because I was looking at a dossier of like all the roles you've had in your life, and they're just so fantastical. And when I think people think of Penguin, they think of like umbrellas and Danny DeVito. So how did you take this character?
I'm stoked to see what his
How
inspiration
did you
was.
conceive Penguin into your own version while still
Let's get it, Colin.
maintaining all the things that this character's like endured? And what was it like having that suit on? Like, how are you guys reacting to him, like with that
No, it
suit?
was fun. It
Eyebrows.
was we had a day. I read the script first.
Excuse me.
I loved Matt's films,
So much carbonation.
and I think he's an extraordinary filmmaker. And I think, however large a scale he may present his films in, there's always something incredibly immediate and personal at the core of his films. which is a testament to just his true interests, not just as a painter and as a filmmaker and somebody who presents these really beautiful
Stays true to
aesthetics
himself. I'm
through
really digging with it.
the medium of film, but somebody who really is concerned with the human
Another
condition,
filmmaker that
Matt,
made
as
Gotham a
man and
character
an
in
artist.
film as well.
So when I read the script, I found all those things that I had recognized in his previous work were alive and well and presented, of course, in a new way and in a new world, a world that's very familiar to us all as either comic book lovers or film lovers of Batman as a character, but was incredibly new and original. And so I was so gripped by the script and I just wanted to be part of it. I didn't know what I could do with it until when I read Penguin, I found it hard to find out where he was and his trajectory as a man and his trajectory as a criminal.
Yeah, he seems kind of
because
all
I know
over the
he's,
place, especially that one
Penguin
shot where
that
he looked
I
kind of emotional.
felt we found was very aspirational, had dreams about power and dreams about getting out from beneath the shadow of his own, what he perceived as his own disfigurement, and how he had been judged as well for looking maybe the way he looks and for being the way he is. So he very gingerly compensates, I don't even say overcompensates, but is compensated through the use of violence.
I wonder if
and
this
his street
music in the
smarts in a world that's
background
been very
is
hard
part of the
for him
score.
to deal with. So all those things were there, having talked to Matt. And the one thing
I'm digging
Matt
also that
always
he's
wanted
dealing
to
with like a self-image
be aware
issue
of with
too,
this
and he's
film,
trying
I think
to,
it's
you know,
really,
go
really
up in the
clear when you
chain
see
of
it, is
crime, and
everything is
he's trying to be
everything
a
is
voice of
believable.
it.
Everything is practically
Interesting,
reachable
brilliant.
through your understanding as a human being, and physically as possible as well. But the makeup and the thing, yeah. So that was fun. That was fun. So I honestly,
He
when I
looks
read the
really
script, I was
fucking
kind of like,
happy
all this
about
shit that I just said. But then I read the script, I also was going, I don't really know what to do with. And then Matt showed me Mike Marino's design for what the Penguin's visage was going to look like. And as soon as he showed me the design, I swear to God, Naz, the second he showed me the design, I got so. And the script is fantastic. It was my myopia shortcoming as an actor that I was struggling to see how I would find my way in with the 5 or 6 scenes that Penguin had. When I saw what Mike Marino created with the makeup, I just got so excited. And we had a makeup test out in Warner Brothers Studios one day, and there was 8 or 9 people there. You know, someone to do the teeth, someone to do the wig, someone to do the this, someone to do 4 people who were applying things. And it was so exciting, and we were all
fucking
just on the
awesome.
same page.
You got to
It was
be
like
so
8, 9,
ready
10
to
of
see
us
the
there,
final
and we were
product
all-
after, and you're sitting there
and I'd
completely
done a bit of
transformed.
dialect work, so
Don't
as soon
even
as the makeup
recognize
went on, the
yourself.
dialect
It's
came in
nuts.
a little bit, and it was just fun. It was just so much fun. It was such a, and so many people. It didn't feel like my creation alone. Like I'm just part of a team that brought that stuff to life. You know, starting with Matt and his genesis of what he wrote on the page.
Wow. Well, after hearing that, I mean, we're so excited to see him in
Fun,
this.
it's fun.
And
it's
in the
freebie.
spin-off.
It was a freebie. I'm not even there. I'm not even there. Like if anyone wants to give me a bad review, I go F yourself. It's not even me. That's why I said Mike Marino. He's like, no, give it to the
Good
makeup
shit.
artist.
Colin,
That's amazing.
absolutely
Well, you said we're
excellent.
on
He's
the
got a
same
great
page,
sense of
though.
humor.
Everyone's on the same
Yeah.
page. That's
He
amazing.
must be
And
really
the
fun
fact
to
that
work
we're
with
even
on
getting
set.
more from that character
And even
and
off.
from yours, Jeffrey, and also your laughs have just been killing me this whole interview. Can I say I love your laugh so much?
Oh, my laugh.
Yeah,
Right
it's the
now.
best. I love that we're just getting more in all these spin-off series. But speaking of more, I want to ask you a question, Rob, that I think everyone's going to be thinking when they walk out of the theater. How long do you want to play Batman?
Forever. Yeah, I mean, it was so fun doing it. I mean, I'm down to do it as many times as people want to see it, really. Like,
I have a feeling that
get
that's,
this one out
we can't say much about it until the movie comes out type of
But
shit.
yeah, like, I mean,
Because there's got to be a cliffhanger.
I've
where
talked to
it's-
Matt
they're-
about the
they're
idea of
leaving
doing
a
a
little
trilogy.
bookmark open for another.
And that would be wonderful. I mean, I really,
Even in
really enjoyed the
standalones, they do
process,
it.
and it's such a fun character to play, and yeah, that'd be lovely. Lovely.
There's so much room for this Batman to grow too.
Yes.
This is really
Big time.
I think he's
It
come away
needs
from
that.
this
This
film.
is what it's
Evan,
set up
we want to
is.
see the
Another
evolution
step.
of Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne in this big time.
Yeah, he's a giant party boy. I mean,
No, I'm really, that is
only,
something
he's not
I
even
think,
Batman.
but I think because you're such a recluse, Bruce is such a recluse in this film, to see Bruce evolve into the person that knows he has to perform and be on a yacht with some, like, that's a really fun journey to go on. I really, no,
and
truly.
Alfred's like, you need to be Batman again. He's like, I'm at a I'm at fashion.
I'm having a
week."
mojito.
This is a big deal for you guys, and when we do things that are a big deal in life,
Absolutely.
there's the anticipation of it.
Like I said, this
then
is my
there's
new
the
No Way
doing
Home
it,
hype,
and then
man.
there's
Like, I'm
the
really
coming
excited.
out
I'm
on
a
the other
huge
side
fucking
of it,
Batman
which
fan.
is where you guys are now. But I feel like we're in this sweet spot right now where you guys are done filming, but you haven't shared it with the world yet. So I just want to capture right now,
I'm
how
so
are you
fucking
feeling
stoked,
in this
man.
moment?
I'm so
and we'll
excited.
just go down the line. Thanks, Zoe.
Yeah.
This is absolutely incredible.
I'm excited to see I don't usually get. I'm a bit of a grump sometimes when it comes to films and stuff that I do. And,
Can only imagine, man.
And I can easily
Perfectionist.
kind of be disparaging, you know. But try not to. I'm genuinely excited about this. I'm just excited to be a part of it, and I'm excited to have worked with these actors, and I'm excited to be in the world.
Hell yeah, man.
That
Gotta keep
Matt
that shit
envisioned
humble,
and,
100.
You know, was creative production design. And
I would love
by
to work with
Greg,
Colin
all
Farrell in
of
some
it.
capacity one day, but you know, a
I'm
boy can
excited just to
dream.
be a part of it. Yeah, truly.
Man
Yeah,
can
it's
dream.
a really special moment. You know, I think, you know, even if we continue to make these films, for the, you know, this moment will never happen again for the first film to come out. And there's something bittersweet about it because it's not ours anymore. You know, I think when you put art into the world, it stops being our little, you know, creation. And so, you know, it's the end of something and also the beginning of something, and it's really special.
That was a good way to see it.
Yeah,
Fuck
and I
Zoe.
think after a kind of very difficult, strange period,
It's so good to
be a
see
part of
Robert
something which
Pattinson
has
thrive too. I
this
mean,
fan
aside
base
from his other
that still
films, you know,
has such
post Twilight,
anticipation
even
for it.
you know,
We're
before,
very,
it's
very
just so
excited. You
good to
kind of
see
really
where
feed
he's
off
at
it, like,
now
it's
and
like
to
we're in a
see
period
how
where, like,
successful
hardly
he's
any movies come
become.
out
And
in
I'm
cinema at the
so
moment.
stoked
Like,
for him and
to
his
have
future, and
this level of
to see him as Bruce
anticipation,
Wayne for the first time.
it's
I'm really,
it's
really
lovely,
fucking
and
stoked
it kind of
about it.
makes you. It gives you hope for cinema. It gives you hope for the movies that come afterwards, and yeah, it's a real privilege to be a part of it.
I got so excited seeing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with the very different films and all that, whatever. But really excited. I got caught up in the global energy. That
Yeah.
was my awareness that people all around the world were going with their kids or their friends or their lovers or whatever,
It's an event.
and really having this experience.
cultural
And
moment,
I have
yeah.
no expectations for how many people are going to like this, love it, not like it, have a gripe with it, or any of that. But I do believe, and I was saying it to Matt when Matt finished the film. I sent him a text and I said, I hope, because Matt worked. I don't know
my
how the
God.
man is
Oh my
sane.
God.
I kind of worried about him.
I'm
when this-
still worried
I
about
swear
him.
to God,
Still
I
worried
said you
about
need to
him.
go into a forest, cut down
Yeah.
some trees, and cry for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, build a
No.
fire, eat some
Seriously.
chestnuts.
That is awesome.
Someone check on Matt
What was
Reeves.
my point? Oh yeah, I sent him a
Movies
text
in
saying,
cinema.
So
you know,
excited.
saying I hope you can grasp that you're going to move and bring a lot of entertainment and joy into so many, like millions of people.
I'm glad that they
Even if
like
it does
check
badly,
up on their boy.
he's gonna
That's
do that millions of people.
that's A1
Well,
as
I think the
fuck.
thing though, particularly about this, you know, making this film, we made it over a long period of time, you know, in kind of, you know, in unusual circumstances, but
Yep,
circumstances that we've all around the world experienced. And there's also a sense now that we can't trust certain things. There's a sense
Yep.
of uncertainty and a sense of fluidity. But with these characters, these films, this story, Batman, 80 years, characters that are known, loved, audiences, people yearn for them because they trust them. There's something that you can hold on to. Even the Riddler, I trust I know what the Riddler is going to be. I trust that he's going to be the Riddler. And I think there's something I've, you know,
I'm digging
as
that
I've
Paul
kind of
Dano's
taken
kind of like wearing
passion
something
the
reminiscent
fans
to
have
his
for this,
outfit.
you know,
So is
you kind
Rob.
of sense it.
Digging it.
And I think it's something around that. It's something that in a shifting world, at a shifting time, people can hold on to with both hands. And so,
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty stoked that we can, you know, finally give over to them what we've been churning out, you know, over the year and a half or however long it was that we worked on it. But yeah, and finally just let it out there and hope
Hell
people
yeah. I'm excited.
trust it.
And I hope people go to the theater. If you're able to
Yeah,
go to the theater,
same.
this is a movie. You will have the rest of your life to watch it at home. But this film, this kind of
Yeah,
film,
it's
is
an
why big
experience.
screens exist. You know, so
Yep.
I really urge people to if they are able to go
Absolutely,
see
man.
this in the cinema.
Take my
because it's
fucking
an
money.
experience. And to be alive in this moment, to have the opportunity to see it,
Because it's
to
only
see it
gonna
on
happen
a- on
once,
a
man.
screen
First
that
time is gonna
big
be crazy.
Pretty special. It's
Pre-ordering those
really
tickets
amazing.
Couldn't have said it better myself, guys. Tickets are on sale right now. I think I speak for
Yep.
everyone when I say congratulations and thank
I'm
you.
gonna grab
and
those on
let the countdown
Wednesday.
begin.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah. So, that was the cast of the Batman on Matt Reeves' vision for the Caped Crusader Fandango All Access behind the scenes interview. Holy fucking wow. So if I already wasn't stoked about that movie, I'm already sold. I'm sold 10 times over. I love watching these big interviews, and I really hope you guys do too, because I did the villains panel for Spider-Man. A lot of you guys didn't dig that I talked over it, but then again, this is a reaction. This is my genuine thoughts on the matter. This is fucking, you know, just how I feel about it, and this is me just showing that I'm stoked, and I'm a fucking fanboy, man. I really loved hearing, where the inspiration for a lot of these characters and a lot of these actors got for these characters. What was kind of, in their minds as the process went along. I'm love to see that everybody on the panel was really passionate about it. I'm stoked to, hear so much praise on Matt Reeves and how hard he worked on such a delicate process over a really odd time in the world during COVID. Really, really, really promising story, even more so. Like I said in the past videos, the more and more we see about this, the more and more stoked I get. So it was really, really good hearing the inside scoop from these guys that worked on it for so long, to kind of hear and, hear little seeds that they were planting that we're going to be seeing in the movie. And I'm, again, beyond fucking excited. So thank you guys so much again for watching this video. I'm going to leave the link to the original video in the description down below. If you guys liked this content, me reacting to said video, please hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell right next to it to be notified when another upload gets uploaded. A couple things, like I always say, my podcast, TSPR, Two Sticks and Pure Rage podcast on YouTube, got a revival. Just hit episode 4. Go check it out. We cover all of this stuff, wrestling news, all types of nerd shit, personal stuff. We actually just talked about my experience meeting Kevin Smith. Fucking awesome. So if you guys are interested in that, please, it's going to be down below. So go check that out. Give us a like. All of the audio is on every single other platform there is. Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, all that shit. You name it, it's there. But if you want the visuals, seeing me and said Danny Huggins, you guys will be able to see the visuals right here on YouTube. Got a sponsorship, filming something this Thursday. Really, really stoked about that. You guys will be seeing that next week, hopefully sometime in my videos. It's a clothing line, really cool shit. Think you guys are going to resonate with that stuff, and we'll put the shop down below and everything when that comes out. Theme song for the intro is Poison Butterfly by the band Apparitions. I'm going to leave their link in the description as well, like always, and you guys can go check them out. They got really cool shit going on. And yeah, that's about it. We covered every single topic, and long live the Batman. 80 years, and in a couple weeks, we're going to be seeing it. So really, really stoked about that. And that's all I got for right now. So I will see you guys in the next one. Be safe, stay safe, and until next time, take care.